Hi everyone, my name is Devik and I'm your Techie Tantrika, and today I'm here with the amazing Sarah Austin Bailey, who is an incredible love coach and energy healer. Her website is howdoyoumakelove.com. Hi Sarah!
Hi.
Oh my gosh, so I just kind of gave a very brief synopsis of the amazingment that you do, and I loved the way you described to me what you do when we first when we first talked. So I was wondering if you could tell everybody a little bit, or a lot of it, actually, as much as you can, about the amazingness that you do in your life.
Oh, well, thank you. That means a whole lot, and I have no idea what I said then, but just like speak from the heart now, and I actually think that's an important feature of what I do. Like everything comes from my own energy, and I've been really mindful about keeping my channels pure and working even further to purify those and exude that. And when I entrain with clients, and entrainment just means really like connecting the systems together, and they automatically, like, we as animals, like, want to be in proximity with one another. We want to connect, and so that's a natural occurrence. But there's certain practices you can learn to make it more meaningful, and deeper and so forth. And so as I entrain with my clients, I really just open up to what their system wants to show me. And that will kind of lead us, that energy, and that my awareness of it, that I've worked to cultivate, partnered with my own kind of more amped up sensory skills, I would say. Those things allow me to really just to be there, and to travel through the system and through the energy, and to bring to light, into consciousness, and to spoken word, or if clients are on a table, doing hands-on energy work, to whatever way to bring it to the surface, to awareness, to understanding if there needs to be any understanding of what the energy is, and then to release or to magnify, whatever needs to occur. And I think I use a lot of Hindu philosophy, and when I do, and the idea that all energy, like, is doing a thing, like it's either like creation, like creating a thing, a force that does that, sustaining, or eradicating, like getting rid of something that shouldn't be there. And so as I work with the body, that's really just what I think about, and about movement, and just like a kid playing with blocks or something, moving things from in the body out, and sometimes putting them back, sometimes adding layers of influences, particular virtues, things like that need to complement the energy to help it be augmented and better brought to life across the system. Or like in a family connection, like if there's a couple that I'm working with. But really, it's just kind of a thoughtful way of being with energy and staying myself grounded. I think that's a more challenging aspect of it, because you're working with very palpable, very powerful alchemy, and my own system is not a very grounded one. It's comprised of mostly fire and ether, and it's like those things are very just and so bringing myself down, that is a practice as well. But I think my system being the way that it is helps to just automatically kind of gently, but spring things to life, and into that conversation, like subtly, that I'm able to have with bodies.
It's amazing. Like, you you've created such a beautiful, very deep practice. And I mean, looking at the testimonials on your website alone, I was just absolutely in awe, like, about the amazing things people have said. You've helped them, like, through blocks with, past relationships. You've helped them, attract the love that they deserve. And one of the other things I found that was amazing too is, I know I'd spoken to you about this before, the testimonial that was absolutely touching about that family, with the lady that was suffering from Alzheimer's, and the way, was that her husband that had sent you that testimonial? Yeah, I thought that was her husband. The way he described how she was able to achieve clarity that day and how they look forward to the good days. And they said that working with you was one of the best days she had. And I was just like, oh my gosh, you literally look like, from the looks of your work, you get this wide range of different types of people with different concerns coming to you. Like, what are some of the kind of like major, like what are the biggest ones that people usually come to you for in terms of concerns?
Sure. I think in a lot of ways, clarity is one, and I'll talk about virtues, instead of specific things, because really, the virtues are the things we're all aspiring to, and lack of them kind of manifests in different ways across the body. I believe that the body is a map and a metaphor for like our internal world, and so. Like clarity is one, like, is this the right partner for me? Is this not? Connection of like, I feel empty or lost, or like, I feel like I've amassed all these, accomplishments, but I'm not, something's not quite right, and I'm not sure what it is. And then also like some kind of frustration. There's usually a catalyst and something that becomes so urgent that it's not able to be ignored anymore. And a lot of people that I work with are especially proactive. My prices are pretty expensive, and I think people that really want to do the work and want to embark on this journey or take their journey further. If they're already on the path to Dharma or on the path to really self-actualization. Or enacting that loving partnership that they just haven't yet found. So I get a variety across that, but I would say I think we're all here looking for love. I'll preface it with that, or I should have prefaced it with that.
So
I'll just
true.
make that asterisk kind of point right now. But that is, I think, what people are really searching for, but love may look different. Like, love might look like fulfilling work, or love might work like bringing a project to life that someone really wants to do but isn't sure how. Or love might look like, just getting really savvy at online dating, or, like, not just really I mean, I want them to be really savvy, and like, if they're going to come to me, we're going to do it right? Like, yes, I'm very focused on client results, and I think that's a thing that coaching in general, I do call myself a love coach. I am certified as a coach, and that sort of thing, but I think that's one of my biggest hopes for the industry, is that we start looking at metrics that have to do with client achievements and client, testimonials, and, like, where clients feel their lives have been taken through the process and so forth. And I know it's not especially scientific, but there are ways to promote that feature of the work. Like, I don't care about coaches that, talk to, put out, publicity and things about how much money they actually make. I just think that's a little absurd. So, but they use that as a marker of success, and I see straight through everything, and I'm like, like, some of that is like not actually true, and some of that is like a little, like, it's like, what are you doing? Because I can't imagine like a lawyer or some other professional like saying, I made that much money, this amount of time, or for this, and it's just like, no, like, what are your client results?
That's not just it, yeah.
I come from a background, I worked in education for 9 years, like, prior to this, and I'm really student results were like the bread and butter. I mean, that's why we do what we do. That's, that's the whole meaning behind it, and without that, like, the whole industry, like, of coaching or anything would feel so empty. And I'm hoping to kind of get that message out, and really continue to for my own practice, focus on that, because it's priority, and it's really the only reason we're doing this.
I love that you said that, because I think you can't put a price on solutions. Like, I think with what you're doing, you're offering people something that will give them longevity, And, like, even with my own practice, my one-on-one, I haven't priced it to the lowest price I could think of, because, like, that's my time. Like, people don't realize how much time you put into preparation and how much time you've spent being on this path to, cultivate what you're doing now. And people don't realize either, like, sometimes they don't understand you can go so many different places in the world to obtain the knowledge that you have. And I mean, like, actually reminds me of the story that I heard about Picasso. And I think, like, it might have been a fictitious story, but it brought a lot of good points up. Like, somebody had asked him to draw, like, a doodle on a napkin, and he was like, sure, and then he gave it to the person. I think he wanted, like, 43 grand for it, and the person was like, what? It's just a doodle. And they were like, you're paying for all the experience and all the tears and the blood and the, and the challenges and the obstacles. This is your life path, right? And I think, too, people get what they pay for, like, I've seen the coaches, too, that you're talking about where, I mean, this is a very common discussion, actually, in the coaching industry about, what it is to have quality and what it is to have the marketing. And I think you need to have a healthy balance of both. But some people literally are just almost treating coaching like multi-level marketing, and their product is that multi-level marketing product. But they're always constantly, like, on the move looking for a new person, and they're not spending as much time. And I'm not saying everybody's like this, but from what I've seen, like, from the type of coaches that are always talking about how much money they've made or how many people they've booked that month or whatever, I've worked with some people like that in the past, and the quality of attention I got was nil. Like, once again, I'm not saying that everybody who thinks this way is going to be that way, but at the same time, I can only talk from my own experiences. I came from the organic side of being certified as a coach and building my practice as well over the last, over 10 years it's been. And I haven't pushed anything harder than it needs to have been pushed, and I knew it would take a longer route to continue adding and building to what I do. And I'm sure you understand that feeling as well, right? Yeah. I mean, even your origins in education, everything has brought you to here too, right? And yeah. I didn't go out there until I was ready, and I think that organic nature and the desire to want to care for other people and help them succeed supersedes any possible dollar point that I could say to other people, oh yeah, I made this many, dollars that month. I think also that that's my business. Like, I don't really want to keep advertising to people, hey, I booked 20 clients this month, and, I'm like, and also I would never want 20 clients. Like, that's a lot of clients.
That's actually, that's a really important point. Like, the client load that we as practitioners keep is, like, that, like, if we have a client that, like, is considering, and I'm already having, like, 20 clients. I'll talk from my own perspective. I don't keep that many. I keep things very boutique, very, because it's an energy circle. Like, everyone I work with, everyone whose life is entwined with mine, for the duration of our time together. Like, all of our energies influence one another. And that's what I mean about purity. Like, I don't want to take somebody that's going to detract in any kind of way from that, collective. I mean, my clients don't know each other. They have no clue. And they mostly don't even know this. I don't generally talk about it. But, I mean, there's an aura around, like, what we're doing together. And I want that to be, mindfully created and carried through, because, like, it is quality and more than quantity, more than money, more than anything. Like, it's like your experience, and it is going to be top notch, because that's who I am, and that's who I know everyone who works with me is, and or wants to be if they don't yet believe it. So
Absolutely. I think, like, some people will be ready to work with you and some people might not be yet, right? Like, there's just that, time. Like, people, there's different medicine out there for everybody, and everybody needs something different at any given time. And it's better for a person to come when they're ready for that kind of healing, because, like, people also need to remember this is a very important part of what we do. They are in partnership with what we're doing. Together we make these things work. We can't, lead somebody completely down their path, because that's completely against their own free will. Like, that's completely, in their own power. And a part of what we do is teaching people about their own power. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've had a lot of people who've come to me and just been like, oh, well, I'm having problems in my marriage, or that sort of thing. But they don't want to go any further with changing in their life or going through the program. Like for me, it's a 3-month program, right? Like where I do the one-on-one thing. But they don't want to put that time in. I'm like, there's homework. You've got to meet with me once a week for the 3 months. Like, all I'm asking is 3 months of your time. You know what I mean? But if that is too much for a person to commit to, then I'm like, well, what are you saying about your marriage? What are you saying about your own self-care? What are you saying about your life? Like, are you saying that all those things you have no time and do not want to put that effort in at this time to commit to these things?
Yeah,
it's so important.
Yeah, so fear, I think that's an important thing, because that's like what's aroused in me right now, like just in talking about this. Fear is the thing that is stirred up by enacting a coaching process, and it's also the reason why people don't commit to the coaching. Do I really want this to happen? And that's kind of the decision that goes through our minds as we select our coach, as we have a coach, like as we go about like making those decisions for ourselves. It's like, this fear is churning. That is not there to dissuade you. In fact, it's the opposite. It's so that you can walk through that fire, that sensation, like whatever is burning in your aura, in your body, like whatever is popping and ready to release. Like that is the fear that is in the way of you really having what it is that you want.
And I always think of us as these friendly Sherpas that are here to help along that path. So
that's
lovely. I like Sherpas. I just,
That's so cool. Yeah. Except I'm not going to carry somebody's back. Like we're going to do something with it, and then we're good. But that's the boundary.
They have their llama. They're fine. They can put their, their stuff on that llama. It's okay. Llama's cool with that. Well, I was going to ask you too. Like, you've got this beautiful practice, and I was just wondering your origin story. What's Sara's origin story? So we know where you came from, education, and what kind of exciting journeys have you been on because of the path that you lead? Like this is it's such an interesting concept, and I would love to hear more.
So yeah, great question, and thank you for asking it. I don't often talk from this, and I like that you use the word origins here, because I think we all come from this thing, and like it's consciousness itself. But I won't talk like spiritually. I'll talk practically. I've even as a child, I've always been like very aware of feelings, like of environments, of people in my life, and of objects, even like fluffy flowers and things. I've always just had this subtle and very keen awareness of what things are. And what they're telling us too. And so I, as a child, like I'm going to tell this story because it illustrates the way that kind of stopped. And it had nothing to do with anything except my own letting it stop, like my not challenging what an adult. It was my dad, but and he'll think this story is crazy if he watches this, but cool. I witnessed like the effects of my mom's car got a little bit scraped on the side, like another vehicle hit it, and I didn't see the accident happen or whatever, but my dad showed me later, like I don't know why, but it was like something's wrong with the car, and he showed me the scrape on it, and where the paint had kind of flaked off and so forth. And I was like, oh no. And I started crying, and I was like, oh, ow, like that hurt. And my dad said, and I'm always crying now, like just, coming back to that moment. And my dad said, the car doesn't feel anything, like it doesn't hurt. And I was like, oh, okay. Like he said, cars don't feel, like things like that only people feel or something. And maybe animal. I don't know exactly the words, but it was just like, huh. And I incorporated that. Like I knew that from that point on. And I think at that moment I stopped feeling as much, or like just kind of stifled that awareness, or like put it in the category of that's not true, or that's like a misunderstanding that I had. And I was little. I was 3 or 4, like just really little. But I remember it vividly, and it was just like, So I think that opened up for me a couple years ago. I was going through a divorce, and like it was a really I think sweet divorce. If that's like a way to a very loving divorce. And I think in that my ex-husband and I were able to find a love that we hadn't had before, like in our marriage. Like I think sometimes it's the circumstance and not the intention or the energy. Like we were loving people, and we wanted so much for things to work, but we in our marriage, I personally was not being super honest about just my struggles. I have trauma, and I was raped in college, and my husband knew. He was aware of it, but he was also aware that I told him never to bring it up, and I said, like, that happened, and I want you to know if we're going to get married, I was 23 when we got married, and so very young, but, like, this was my way of just saying, like, this is a closed chapter. I'm good. Like, I'm happy. I have a career that I love. Like, I have a husband I love. Like, like, this is great. But I think the fact that that he honored, like, what I had asked, and that I had asked in the first place when we were having struggles, I think, just caused further trauma for us. And so I think in our divorce, for the first time, I was really honest about how I was feeling, and what I needed, all of those things. I still didn't yet talk about the rape, but like it was I think a turning point for me of, like, being real and of pursuing, like, things that didn't make sense to anyone, like why I wanted to go to yoga teacher training, or why I wanted to become a life coach, or whatnot. Like, those things didn't add up for others, and they didn't quite add up for me at the time, but I began following my intuition. I began, like, finding it and finding myself through it again. And like, that to me was the connection I had been missing. It had nothing to do necessarily with my marriage. I think if I had found it in the marriage, obviously, like, things would have been a lot different for us. And I do strongly believe that. But this was the best thing for us, the divorce. And like, we are both thriving now. Like, we're both very happy, and just, like, I'm thrilled that we were able to do that after, pressures and people's skepticism about, like, but you guys seem, like, perfect and so happy and things like that. And it's just, things can look a certain way, but really the stuff that matters is inside, and nobody can see that unless, like me, they can learn to read a body and, like, that sort of thing. But for the most part, we can become very, very good at disguising ourselves. And so I had mastered that. I'm, like, so well. Like, I'm just, like, a true perfectionist. Like, I'm super damn good at that. Yes. But, like, at the end of the day, like there's some point at which, like, some point when we, like, there's a perfectionism, even talking about it, like stirs it back up, and you can witness that. But there's a point when we all just have to admit, like, this is not it. Absolutely. There is, like, it does exist, but where? And then we go pursue it. Then we go, follow whatever it is. If it's a dream, if it's a feeling, if it's a hunch, whatever, if it's a sign, on the road, like, come here, whatever it is, or something someone says to you, like, that is intuition in a very basic nutshell. And it's just follow the feelings, follow, like, all the cues, the visuals, the auditory, like, that's it. And go for it. And so there was that, partnered with my great-grandparents have this beautiful love story, and I have a lot of their love letters. I pulled some out just to demo for this. So these are, like, they wrote to one another, and they're different, varieties. I've got them labeled and stuff. Quality of these, but these were written during their courtship in the 19-teens, and they were living apart across the state of North Carolina, developing, different aspects of themselves. She was a school teacher on the Outer Banks, and he was a farmer in the central part of the state.
She was an educator too?
Yes, for a bit, until she was married, actually, and that was cool. Tradition back in those days. Once a woman was married, she was not able to do anything else. So we've come a really long there's some sense. So
true.
yes, yeah, those letters really inspired me, and like they taught me what love was, and it wasn't any like magic formula or like thing you said or like special sentiment or anything. It was not that. It was actually following your heart, like despite what anyone said or thought or even did. Her father would not support her in the relationship with my great grandfather, and that caused a family rift for a time. It was reconciled when my grandfather was born, but it affected the family, and it was not loving. And he had his own hangups and obvious kind of things he wanted to impose on his daughter, but she, being a woman she was, and like following her intuition and her heart, said no, not gonna have it. And she actually proposed to my great grandfather in a letter, because they were apart, and they mapped out their plan for getting married. They were married on Valentine's Day in 1918, and so yeah, that's what really inspired the love aspect of what I'm doing. Just that, like, love is not a perfect relationship. Love is like nothing to do with another person. It's inside of each one of us, and that's why I do what I do and the way that I do.
That is so beautiful. Oh my god. And I love that the apple did not fall far from the tree. You were an educator, listening to your heart, going down the path that you're being called to. Just absolutely amazing stuff. Like, just happening.
It's incredible, like, how we map these, like, stories of our lives together and, like, how everything connects. Like, it's not accidental. Like, it's, and it's not necessarily intentional, like, in a, intellectual way, but it, energetically and like the threads that run through us, there's rhyme and reason to it.
Oh, totally. Like, our ancestry really does play a big part in what we do. Like, I once worked with this beautiful shaman in BC named Angela Pryder, and she talks about, like, she studied shamanism in various different ways, in various different cultures, and she understood that learning your own medicine involves learning, widespread and taking what works, with you in your energy and in your being. And she talked also about going back to where your parents and your ancestors are from, because sometimes those ancestors don't have the comfort of knowing what happened to their lineages. So going back is sometimes mutually, like, amazing, because the land can open up to you, the world there can open up to you, and also those ancestors can get that feeling of full circle,
There's such a portal, like, places have such a portal and a connection, and I feel like we go, time and again to the same place, like, because there's something there, like, we're not just drawn by the convenience or anything, like, we are drawn to, there's something here that I'm picking up or I'm imparting, for later, or that, like, there's magic about where we are and with whom.
I know, that's the thing. Our energy creates a ripple effect.
Yeah.
And people don't realize, how what we do impacts our future, and the future of others around us. Like, if people understood the impact of energy, of the land that we're around, the people that we're around, the things that we do, I feel like there would be so many different things we would be doing with this world and in our present time. I mean, I can go on forever about that, but, like, that's all, and I'm sure you could as well. Like, that's a whole other story, But I think I learned a lot about that, I think, from Buddhism, like the fact that they look at what we do and how we do, how that ripples back into everything that we are at this moment, I can bring this back to dating sometimes. Like, I bring this back to even Tinder. Like, I look at... I sometimes go back onto that because I want to see how it's changed and how the features have changed and stuff like that for future videos and that sort of thing. But even looking at what people are searching for on online dating, some people are looking for love, some people are looking for something different. And my argument is always, okay, if you're going to have your fun, have what, like, that's your business. But at the same time, understand energy first, like, understand what it entails. For example, if somebody's looking for casual sex, like understand that other person better, like get to know that person first and understand their energy, because at some point when you're having sex, when your energies are colliding, you have to understand you're taking pieces of that person into you. Like all of their energies ending up in you, and your energies ending up in them, and it's a cycle, right? And you're taking that forward with you. And the other thing too is like, if you condition yourself to just want what people sometimes call dating light or romance light, how are you taking what you're able to do right now and transplanting that into a long-term relationship later on? Like it's all body memory too, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and how we treat one person is how we are with everyone. It's like the thing we're going to attract, And so if we don't look at everyone like they're like sacred, yes, like we are not going to have that eventual relationship. Like there has to be a major mindfulness like shift and admission and like probably some tears and like other things like to really disentangle from all that we're creating. I mean, nothing happens in a vacuum. Like all of this stuff has an aggregate effect and a deleterious effect in a lot of ways, like if we're not thoughtful about it. And there is nothing at all wrong with casual sex. Like I think it's a celebration, but to do it in a haphazard way or just in a way of satisfying something physical. I mean, there are really effective other ways to satisfy that physical thing that do not like draw from other, beings' energy, like they're, obviously, but yeah, for your viewers, you should probably be the one talking about this because you're so much more skilled. But
I'm the self-pleasure lady.
I mean, without using a person, right? Like if that is the fix that you want, yes, like, do it, but your own energy, like as the source and as the satisfier is, just exactly maybe what you need and perhaps can take you deeper into like when you do want to interact with a being, like how to be more selective about that, how to be, how to behold them like in a way that is, going to allow you to really shine and that person to really shine and share themselves like fully. And it's just, it makes sex, it makes everything so much better. Like it makes the colors outside brighter. Like it really does. Like when we see each other in these ways, like yeah.
I love what you said about the color too, because like I did an interview a couple weeks ago with an energy worker named Shofar Graves, and I mentioned that it becomes like Technicolor. So like I love that you said the color too, because the thing is, you said such a great point. Like it's about having the gratitude and that understanding is sacred in itself. Like I mean, I never say to people that you need to have things one way or the other way. But the reason why, for example, I talk about self-pleasure a lot and I talk about, how to treat each other when we're dating and that sort of thing is because it hits home exactly to what you just said, like having that gratitude and understanding that what you're doing is sacred is, I feel like it's not only important, it is so important, but I think that's the next step we're taking with what we're able to do. It's not that we're not sexually liberated, we are. But with great power also comes great responsibility, and responsibility is that wisdom of knowing how to optimize your experiences in sacred sex and sacred intimacy and just sacred you,
Absolutely.
So amazing. I was actually going to ask you too, do you have any favorite books or resources that you like to recommend to your clients and that you enjoy yourself?
I do. So like lately I've been and I have props because I'm a school teacher. Love it. And I'm very visual as well, so it's nice to show. But on the topic of sex and sacredness and so forth, before I share the book, like I do want to say on that, like seeing another being as sacred, as sacred is like a really important thing. But even if you don't yet see others as that, like begin to see yourself as that and to know that we are, like each of us is spirit and material, like the spirit that we are, the essence, the feelings, the hopes, the journey, like all of those things, plus we're the body, like the physical material, and even the material has like magic and power, like all of these things matter just as much, and that is a way to kind of start the journey, is to really honor and respect that. and all your relationships will begin to really reflect that, and you won't wind up feeling alone as much. You'll always have a place to come home to.
Yes, oh, it's so beautiful. Yes, it starts with us. It starts with us looking at how we are and who we are. Absolutely.
Yes. And now for the fun book. This one is one of my favorites. I suggest it a lot, for people that it's called Passion Play, and the author is Felice Dunas. I hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly. She's a Chinese medicine practitioner and just brilliant, weaver of history and practical application and all this, and entertaining to read too. I think I read that cover to cover, and I can't say that about many books. There are not many that I do anymore because I'm sort of go to the right pages, get what I need. But that one is hands down a really good one that I recommend to a lot of folks for a variety of reasons, intimacy concerns, or actually, which I think from an energy perspective is feeling kind of nervous around people, ungrounded, just hyper intellectual, or chakras. Basically what's happening energetically is chakras are off. Generally a self-expression chakra, your throat, or a solar plexus. I don't know about my
yes,
my distance feeling chakra doll in case we needed a demo. I was like, oh yeah.
That is so awesome. That is amazing.
So these are the chakras I'm talking about, the throat here, just blue in color, and it could be the energy's getting stuck somewhere, here, or the solar plexus, your sun, in essence, and things can be churning there, nervousness, disconnect from who you are, or confidence, in general, things like that are just misfiring or not completely in integrity, across your system. There are so many things that can cause the system to be off. So many imbalances, so many other influences that can be on a person, and there's a variety, but those are, I would say, the hot spots for where people get hang-ups about super nervousness about sex, or about dating, or about any of those things. Also, ideas that people plant that are not true. Things about sex is shameful, or sex is dirty. Stuff like that people pick up and apply, or perhaps if they have some trauma or something they're overcoming from a relationship, or any number of things, even just root chakra, your lower chakra, kind of trauma can cause this extreme nervousness about being with another person, because there's the fear that this will get stirred up again, and fear sits in a lot of times in that chakra. Fear can be in a variety of places, but a primal kind of alertness and the running, all of that is connected through that root chakra. This book helps with that. Another of my favorite, all-time favorites is the Bhagavad Gita. This particular, and I cannot pronounce the name, but this is an amazing translation of it, and I see my notes and stuff. I flip to that a lot of times, but anyone who is walking a sacred path, or just a purposeful path, toward who they are, and I would call that sacred or spiritual. I mean, there doesn't have to be any kind of religious dogma about it, but really, the path inside to find out who you are and to apply it, to life, and to love and all that. If you're on the path, the Gita is just I don't know, I see references to it all the time. I mean, they're not that, but they're metaphors or allegories that you relate back to the book or the sacred text kind of book. But so that is one of my favorites. And then another that I've been recommending a lot lately, it has nothing to do with love or whatever, but actually, no, I can't say nothing. It has, at first glance, little to do with love, but like I said earlier, I think a lot of things have to do with love. Really, that's what we're doing. But the energy of money, money as a title, doesn't make sense for love. This is Maria Nemeth, Nemeth. This is a really good read in terms of the idea of abundance, and so the way that it weaves into love is if you feel like you can't find a partner, or the right partner, things like that, like you have like a lack of something, mentality in some way, and an energy that is continuing to create that circumstance in your life. And so, like getting back in touch with that, and you generally have a co-occurring abundance, money or financial savviness kind of problem.
It has to do with the root chakra too, like you just showed on your beautiful chakra doll. Like that ties. People don't realize how interconnected this stuff is. Just like you said with the root chakra, like that, and the sacral too. Like those play so well into these topics that you're discussing.
Yeah, absolutely. So here's the sacral chakra that you're. This is about creation and sex, basically, and this is about the money. Like abundance in general. And do I have enough here? Am I enough? Can I attract what I? All of that. And so the energies of lack, like they're very like any energy. Like there's so many ways that it can be off, and like so many influences on that. The primal instinct of like needing to fight for every little piece of it, for existence itself, turns up in money concerns and things like that, family legacy or DNA, like things that we learn, messages we hear, and so forth, of feeling like somebody's going to take something from us, and fear of that and so forth. So yeah, abundance and the money concern like do show up in a lot of ways.
That's a great. Actually, there's another book I think you might like if you like that one. There's one called The Soul of Money by Lynn Twist, and she was a professional fundraiser her whole life. Totally recommend that as well. Like
that feels like a good one to me, so I will check it out.
I love how in tuned you are. That's just so beautiful. I actually wanted to ask you as well. So you're in the Washington, D.C. area and also available online and on the phone from the sounds of it, right? What are your offerings right now? What are you offering your clients right now? And also, what are you working on offering in the future? Because I saw some, 2017 things showing up on your website too, and I was like, oh, excitement, things are creating and happening.
Those are like workshop offerings that I'm putting together. Right now, I think so in terms of packages, like there are a couple ways to like get to know me and, that sort of thing. And they're not a lot of face-to-face things unless you're doing one-on-one services. And the reason for that is I am, producing a lot of materials at this point, just to kind of, I'm newer in the whole, I guess, industry or cross industries of like the healing and intuition, as well as the love coaching. It's taken me a while to like bring them both together and decide like this is what and how I want to do. And so I'm creating a lot of information, and I'm writing a book right now. I think that's the thing I'm most excited about love and relationships, and really not just intimate love, but collective love, and our duty and kind of moral obligation to one another, to see beyond the surface, to really get to know, and to really share, who it is we are without all the anxieties that we have. And so yeah, that's the bigger project. A smaller project that is getting published this week is I'm so excited about this manifestation deck that I've made. And I drew a card before this because I was like, I don't know, I was like corny like that. But these are like cards that I made that have to do, it's how to make love. And it's a manifestation deck of, creating love in your life, like how to do it. And we do it energetically, like by purging some things, like by rearranging some things, like, moving the energies in the ways that need to, and heightening the awareness and applying it, definitely as we interact with one another. So there's that. But they're so, oh my gosh, they just fell all over the floor. They're so powerful.
I love it when cards do that. Like, I'm obsessed with card decks. Like, I have, like, a billion tarot decks, and my amazing friend, she gave me, I know I'm never going to pronounce them properly. It sounds like Learmidian. I'm so sorry. I'm totally butchering the name. Trying to see, this beautiful oracle deck that came out in the Victorian times. I'm not going to go too far into this, but, like, they're kind of looking, like, they're a smaller deck than the tarot. They're much smaller. But I love the different systems that we have, and I love your, like, show us some more of the artwork, whatever's left. Like,
it's on the floor.
Whatever, yeah, exactly. Whichever ones you feel like picking.
I'll just get them. Okay, this is like one of the first time about light night. Like, who cares? This is all over the floor. But these are the photos that correspond. And so this deck, actually, I think it's the first of its kind. Like, forgive me if this is not true, but it is my
it's
whatever. Read that. This is like the first that actually works to affect a person's energy, and so it's more than just like look at the card and then read a small. This one says be the one you're looking for, which is like the whole idea of like mirrors and attraction. But it's more than just this like happy little message or affirmation or something. It's actually like I infuse this the book with all the reference pages with the actual practices, like the energetic practices, the meditations, the things you need to do in your life in order to create this energy and apply this energy and make the decisions and do the so it really bridges the inner and the outer and brings that together in a practical, easy to implement way to kind of go about your day or about, a span of time in your life, depending on how you use your deck. And that has been like super fun to make and to put out there. And so those are being printed this week and will be available. I'm actually getting ready to leave for vacation, but will be available to order on my website and have delivered, by the end of September. So those are fun.
Oh my God, Sarah, like, I mean, being that I love cards, I've never come across a card deck that goes that in-depth into energy work. I think that's incredible. Like, that's amazing.
And so I send those with, I read, obviously, like, the user's kind of energy or, like, even if it's for a gift, like, I can intuit a crystal, a small, here's one example, a crystal to send along and an info card about, crystals and what they're used for and that sort of thing, like to help affect vibrations. Just kind of that, and it's, the reverse of the card has like information about that particular mineral and, what it does in the body or the field.
Oh my God. This is very exciting. This is just super exciting.
So making these like came very naturally for me because I just tap into, okay, a user seeing, this card that says this or this card that says this, bolster your boundaries, it is going to be feeling like this. And so what words, like, bring it back, like, center the energy and then, like, help to shift, like, what needs to open up or what needs to, in terms of boundaries, like, close down and so forth.
Wow. Sarah, thank you so much for showing us those. And I can't wait until they're, really, like super out there and available to And I totally agree too. Like, once again, we always believe in that, believing our, gut instinct, trusting ourselves. And I'm sure, the way you've decided to do this is perfect. Like, everything in itself is perfect, right? So you're a very busy woman. I love this. Like, and it sounds like people can find you through Washington, in Washington, and also online, of course, and they can get in touch with you from your website. Is there any other way that you would like other people to find you, or is your website the best way of getting?
It's probably the best way, and or like, you can email Sarah at howdoyoumakelove.com. Like that I'm fine with. Yeah, so the ways I work are, in person, either at my home, which is like this big historic house in a kind of a cool neighborhood in Washington, or in the home of a client, depending on like the client with Alzheimer's, she and her family had me into her house. And so it really just depends on the needs and that sort of thing. Some of my client packages are more like on location. One of them that I have is called Elucidate. And so I work with clients, like I actually go on a date, gender doesn't matter, like sexual preference doesn't matter, but I will go with you, to dinner or to a drink or, whatever kind of date you want to arrange, something more adventurous even if you want, but like something I feel good about and protected it, like I'm going to keep my boundaries in place for sure. And that's definitely a layer of the understanding, like to create, an engagement like that. But to really interact with the person on a date, like somebody who goes on first dates a lot and they flop, or the person ghosts, or like doesn't really want another date, or like things fizzle in some way. And for clients who are really trying to understand, like what's going wrong, like first of all, nothing's going wrong, like that's an important thing. But like to diagnose and get over like the energetic hangups, like where on a date are you not quite in your body? Are you not quite being honest? Like I can sense all that, and like honestly be able to give that feedback, not in the moment. Like I gather and yes. Do it later. Like it's a series of sessions, but just a few, and so that actually that we don't meet before then, because like then it's like, oh, we already have a relationship. That's So we actually like meet at a location. We have the date, like whatever it is, what it is, and then we continue. Like we set up the rest of the sessions and like work to, just shift that energy. And the person's obviously dating, so they're going to get chances to practice and that sort of thing, and to really see through the effects of the energy work. On their confidence, on their expression, on their honesty, and so forth. So that's another like type where I'm not meeting at one of those locations, but somewhere else.
You've given us so much amazing information today. Thank you so much, Sara. Like, I loved your work already, and then just hearing more about what you've done and what you're up to, and the offerings you have and where you're going is just so positive and so incredible. I'm gonna, I don't want to wrap it up. I know we're gonna have to wrap it up eventually, but eventually at some point, good things, they have their ending point to allow for other good things. But I just wanted to ask you, is there anything else too that you wanted to tell people, you wanted to give a takeaway, at the end of this beautiful conversation that we've had together?
That's a really nice opportunity. I think I would just say, in terms of those who are looking for love or looking for just fantastic sex, I know a lot of your audience is doing that. These things can be found and they can be generated, and they are within you. And it's really just like dredging those out, like bringing them to life, like getting good at the practice, like, and having a bit of humility in the process of like, as I dredge up all these gifts, as I dredge up all these like amazing capacities to connect, to like be a loving partner, to, whatever it is that I'm going about doing here. As I bring this up, so come the fear, so come the reservation, so come society's judgment, or so all these things. Yet I want this so much, like fight through all that clutter. Like that's part of your purpose. That is on the way to arriving at where you're going. And so like, don't be dissuaded. Don't give up. Because, love is here for you. Like you are loved to start with, but, know it and own it, and then like move away anything that's not love. Yes. And you'll be there.
Thank you so much again for being here. I just really appreciated this time that we've had. And so once again, Sara is a love coach and energy healer, and one of the best ways you can find her is through her amazing website, which has a lot of incredible content. So thank you so much again, Sara, and you have yourself a great day, and bless you for your work. It's just been an amazing conversation.
Thank you, Tamika.
Thank you. Take care.